You're still watching the Eastern Business Report right here on the Afia Business Morning. There is fresh tension at the Dangote Refinery. The Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Pengassan, is accusing management of intimidating Nigerian staff who joined the union with claims of lockouts, sudden dismissals, and even withdrawal of staff bosses. Dangote Industries, on the other hand, says it has nothing to do with union activities, but rather with alleged sabotage inside the refinery. This clash raises big questions about workers' rights unionization and the balance between labor and management in Nigeria's oil and gas sector. To help us unpack this morning, I have Mr. Ephraim Okenwa, Executive Director, Lead Network Africa. You're welcome on the program, Mr.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Good to have you here.
Thank you.
So aside the Pengassan issue, today, President Tinubu is visiting Imo State to commission, some of the works done by Mr. Governor Hope Uzodinma. How do you feel about that?
Well, personally, on a personal note, I feel indifferent. As someone that speaks for the people, I would say it confirms an increasing interest of the president in the Southeast region, and it's commendable that we have a president that can visit states and connect with people at that level. And one of the things it has a way of doing in terms of perception, it's like having a leader, that who can include in his itinerary all parts all of the federating units that make up the entity called Nigeria. So it's quite reassuring. But beyond that, sometimes I wish some of those visits could go beyond ceremonial visits, maybe celebration of maybe the far that has been achieved, to actually looking at the depth that we can go, that can be achieved. Some of the strategic visits to attract further investment, right? It could be foreign direct investment going into some states and changing the fortunes of the states beyond the cutting of red ribbons, which has become a tradition. Maybe you want to do what it's in the budget to do by the virtue of the funding, just remain at the same level, and it calls for throwing up of celebration. Yes, we can always celebrate the little we've achieved, but we should also be fixated.
Should go beyond celebration.
On the much things, because the world is not going to wait for us, right? So I really think that we celebrate too little all of the time, because in all honesty, right? When you have the funding, and most of the time also people are drained through taxations, and they bring in the money. What did we even expect you to do? Do we expect that you should carry the money? Or do we expect that at least you should make some investment? And most importantly, where the business now comes in is ability to even expect our leaders to give us value for our money. It should be in commiseration with the level of investment, not just maybe comparing, right? In comparison maybe with a previous administration, perhaps that didn't perform so well, and it's like, oh, this one even have something that is tangible. So our case has been that of comparing worst and worse and bad, and it should actually be good, better, best. That should be the trend.
Okay, Mr. Okenwa, thank you for that. I really appreciate your opinion. So we are seeing what's happening between Pengassan and Dangote just less than a month after no pangs. Dangote is saying it is, having a reorganization, and it has nothing to do with unionization, while Pengassan is saying it was because the workers joined the union, that was why they were sacked. 800 workers sacked in one day, or would I say dismissed. From your perspective, what exactly happened here? How do you read both sides of the story?
Okay, well, first and foremost would be to ask, is it really compulsory for every worker, right, to unionize? Is it a voluntary right? And then if the Constitution makes it voluntary, that means someone can at the same time decide not to be part of it. But then the question would then be, okay, did Dangote actually stop them, from joining, because they have the right to join, as workers to protect their interest. But beyond that, when we see Pengassan trying to say, well, you know what Dangote is saying is not the truth. Here's the truth. These are those that wanted to unionize. The question is Dangote as a refinery, right? As a conglomerate with stakeholders, shareholders, are they really accountable to Pengassan? Were they established? Are they regulated? Were they empowered to function within Nigeria's business environment by Pengassan? And if that is not the case, then why does Pengassan feel that maybe Dangote owes its explanation if it either maybe wants to lay off workers, either on the grounds of, the alleged, maybe refusal, or maybe intention to join the union, or for whatever reason, best known to Dangote. And I mean, as a private company, right, it's their prerogative. They have that right, constitutionally provided and validated, to hire and fire without recourse to the government. It's not a public sector. This is private sector, and that's what makes it private.
Dangote is saying it's because it's due to a sabotage in the refinery. Maybe they did one or two. We don't really know the full story. But I mean, dismissing 800 workers just hours after they joined the union. Don't you think?
Well, the simple truth is that in some regard, in a kind of validating facts, empirically or experimentally, correlation does not translate to causation. Now, what does that? What do I mean? The fact that it happened almost in the same period may not necessarily mean, right, that this might be the reason. So they correlate in the sense that one would have said, okay, well, 800 workers, allegedly by Pengassan.
Yes.
Now, Dangote is saying we have over 3,000 Nigerians hired. The question would be, what about the 2,200 other Nigerians? Why didn't they go as well? Is it that they don't want to join Pengassan, right? And then number two, could actually be that Dangote has every right, which might also be inspired by some of the rising challenges, coming up that could impact adversely on the company. Maybe inspires the team to go look within and say, you know what, I think we need to rejig, we need to re-strategize. And part of it will be to come up with certain templates that we are going to use to trim down, right? To reset the entire organization structure. And as a private organization, they have all of the prerogative. What I see Pengassan is doing is complete interference. It's more or less like leaving what they should do, because over time we've seen like Nigeria refineries not functioning, right, optimally. Some of the agitations that they should do to actually improve, the economy and even the welfare of workers, we don't see that happen. And now the same person, the same man who have taken the initiative to attract a $20 billion investment, I mean, no one ordinarily will want to do that if you don't really love the Nigeria and you don't believe in Nigeria. And don't forget, I mean, government has had like refineries that should be functioning optimally. Dangote's refinery came as an answer prayer and as a challenge to challenge the moribund nature of our refineries and to make people to begin to ask questions.
Yes, because I was going to ask you, when the Nupeng strike happened, it was like the nation was at a standstill. Filling stations were shut in Enugu, across, we saw that fuel prices had gone up. When I was having a conversation with Mr. AU, I was telling him, how did we get here? We have, for a country that has about close to 5, or let's say 2 major refineries and maybe 5 other refineries in total, how do we get to a point where we depend on just the refinery for production?
And actually, that tells you like all of the intricacies, complexities that play around the oil industry. The oil industry has been, accused of ranging from sabotage to economic manipulation to subsidy fraud, a lot of things. And really, when you come to that sector, you have powerful oligarchs, like people, the bourgeois, right, who like could go at whatever extent to ensure that their interest is protected. I mean, we've seen like this wouldn't be the first time, just ranging from the very first time that Dangote completed the refineries. We're going to see the first move from NNPCL, you know, denial of supply of crude oil, from there to insistence that it will be sold to him in dollars, right? Even though like that ordinarily would have been like a way to strengthen our currency. And does we need a Naira to be strengthened? Obviously. I mean, when you have like Naira under this current administration, crashing from somewhere around almost 400 Naira to now at the moment about 1,500. So when you have like a project like this, then if the government of the day is well intended, Dangote need to be protected, you know, not to be victimized, like as if to say you're accusing him of monopoly. I mean, why will you accuse him of monopoly when you have like 4 to 5 refineries that are not working? And he decided to come up with a solution. There is a need, right? Dangote also didn't obtain like a monopoly license or monopolize the license to say, okay, let's sign this contract that once my refinery is coming on board, right, then no other refinery can come up. I mean, all of these oil bourgeois can as well take the initiative and build more refineries.
So you're saying it has nothing to do with unionization. This is just
it has
standing for the welfare of workers. This is just an attack on Dangote Refinery.
Yeah, certainly. It's all about him because, like, to him, you know, to many persons in the industry, you know, they see Dangote as, well, as a monopolist, right? Okay, referencing maybe cement industry, there are deals with debaters, and then some accusations of, you know, being backed up by the state in some regard. But beyond that, I think that the one of the oil, why Dangote needs all of the support is that the dimension is brought in is one that if you look at it, it is the Nigerian people that will win. And for anybody anywhere that is fighting for the interest, and you don't look at the generality of Nigerians and the impact of whatever decisions you make, then it becomes a problem. 2, the approach of Pengassan also, you know, begs to ask the question, is your focus really the said 800 workers? Is there no industrial court, right, the National Industrial Court, that you need to approach to challenge the decision of the Dangote Refinery? I am sure that as a corporate organization, if the National Industrial Court have asked Dangote to, pending on maybe the determination of whatever the suits before, maybe to call back the workers, right? Maybe let them hear this case. What does Dangote have against these workers? Can he prove to the court that it has nothing to do with, you know, their disposition to expression of their right? If they have given that order, Dangote would immediately comply. You know, but for Pengassan not to approach the court to say, you know what, we want to challenge this, we want to demand for the welfare of workers, but what you start thinking of is to shut down supplies to Dangote. It really tells you, I mean, when crises come up, you begin to see what's people's target, right? You know, and from there you can just like critically evaluate, is it like that of jealousy, envy, or is it really a case of someone trying to infringe on your rights and on your strategic interest?
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Okenwa. Our time is fast spent. Just before we let you go, what do you think is the most realistic path to resolving this?
So what I think it's, I mean, Dangote has already approached the court, and the court has asked Pengassan to halt their plans of disrupting the economy. And it's really quite devastating that even with that court injunction, they still went ahead, and all our plans by the FG2 broker as at yesterday and I could not work, and a letter meeting for 2 p.m. So what I think would be the way forward is let Pengassan follow the instruction of the court injunction, and then give room for negotiation, right? Let the court hear all of the different parts, because neither Dangote nor Pengassan is a law unto itself. We are a country bound by laws. And both of them are parties. And the law forbids being a judge in your own case. So these are the two parties, right? And the Nigerian people will say that as a country that has laws, let's wait on the temple of justice and see what's their perspective. Because neither my perspective, nor that of Dangote, nor that of Pengassan, or any other Nigerian, should take the place of the law. The law means when the court that has the jurisdiction to hear this matter gives its verdict, then we can accept that as the best, representing the best interest of the Nigerian people and of the Nigerian laws.
Thank you so much, Mr. Okenwa, for joining us on the Eastern Business Report today.
You're welcome.
And that's much we can take on the Eastern Business Report today. Until I see you tomorrow for another edition of the Afia Business Morning, I am Marvelous Apwamaga. Many thanks for staying with us, and coming up next is Afia. Do have a lovely day.